but there is a pilot now who is going viral. I didn't know this could be a thing. This is in England, and apparently the plane was too heavy to get off the ground. It was sold and oversold, so there are plenty of people on there. I mean, a packed flight. So the pilot comes on to the microphone and says over the PA system, "We're too heavy to fly."
Thank you all for getting here. Because there's so many of you, it's a pretty heavy aircraft we've got today. That heavy aircraft combined with a fairly short runway here in Lanzarote and some winds, which aren't particularly favourable at the moment, mean that with the current environmental conditions here in Lanzarote, the aircraft is too heavy at the moment to depart.
We're not going to be departing. We're too heavy. This is a flight earlier this month on the budget British airline called EasyJet. Was flying from the Canary Islands back to Liverpool. Is where it was going. So it's headed back to England. And so he says, "We're too heavy to fly." And then
What are the options? Sit here or jump off if you're a chunk?
Jump off if you're a chunk. He says, we need
the chunks to get off.
Listen to the numbers now. He goes inside the numbers on this.
Now, you might be wondering what's next, and that's what I've come here to say. And of course, the one way to solve a problem with a heavy aircraft is to make it slightly lighter. If possible, I'd like to ask for up to, potentially, 20 volunteers.
I need 20 of you chunks to jump off. That was a high number to me.
The chunkier, the better.
I mean,
What?
I
don't know.
You know, you say 3, I'd be like, all right, 20. I need 20 of you off the aircraft. So if the average person is, let's say, 200 times 20, that's 4,000 pounds heavy, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's 4,000 pounds if you're talking about two. You know, that's a little high for me. I mean, you're way overweight at that point. So I would be concerned about flying. And it was packed in there. So he said,
Don't they know before they sell? Or are these just some fatties at the island?
it was apparently they were chunkier than expected.
Wow, that was rude.
And
Sorry.
because of the winds and the heat
And a short runway.
and the short runway.
Well, the runway's a dead giveaway.
Well, you know the runway.
That's not changing.
The things you know going in are the runway and the wind of the heat.
And your weight limit.
The winds were up. You know your weight limit, but you don't know the weight of each passenger until they come on to the.
Well, that says a lot
But I
about
bet
that
they have
tour
a pretty
group.
rough estimate.
Well,
I bet, like you said, they probably estimate
200.
X number of pounds for every person.
Well, they're way over. I mean, 20 people. He said 20 chunks need to get off this aircraft. He continued now.
To choose not to fly to Liverpool tonight. If anybody does want to do that, if anybody does want to volunteer, there will of course be an incentive for you to do that. And that is something that we'll be able to let you know about.
Just waddle up to the front here and
If you can squeeze through the aisle.
we'll
I ain't doing it.
make
Give
a
you a
race.
chocolate chip cookie
I'll take it.
and $5,000.
Yeah.
I told you to wait till
There's free lunch inside.
I'm done. And we were going to offer $5,000, but okay.
They didn't want the cookies.
Okay.
Current number that we've been quoted by EasyJet is that they're willing to offer up to €500 per
500.
passenger that's willing to not fly tonight.
500 euros.
Do they put you up for the night if you miss?
Yeah,
Or
they put you up for the night. And 19 got off. So they were one.
Oh, no, about this.
I'll give it all she's got.
I'm not so sure either. 19. He said up to 20.
19 brave souls.
19 got off
Deplane.
the plane. And they did make it safely to Liverpool.
Well, good.
That night.
sure they
Maybe 20 was what they used to.
An estimate.
What
yeah.
my wife's grandmother used to. A gracious plenty.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
That's what-
hoping for 10.
You only need to dump 15.
That's how you do it. You don't want to dump 10 or 15. You say 20, and then you know, and I think that's what hosts do at a restaurant. They say it's an hour wait, knowing it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yes.
Give yourself a little room on either side. Here's the.
Meanwhile, the pilot's up there though, just
He's breaking his arms, pulling back on the
as
yoke.
hard as he can. Yeah.
Short
Needed one more. Told you 20.
short runway. Man,
Bad
high
winds, cross currents.
heavy and hot. It's hot and heavy out there, though.
Yeah, it is.
This is a story we're loath to get to, but it does put our industry in a bad light. And so many times, if radio comes up on any program, it's never for anything good. It's always, oh, look what this fool did. Well, this happened in Washington. The Washington Commanders football team back in action for their summer practices. What do they call them? Two-a-days. Training camp. They're in training camp now. So the sports radio station in Washington was there, and there is a pretty big name, at least in radio. His name is Don Geronimo, and he's been a sports commentator for years on WBIG-FM. Late last week, he and his co-host, Crash Young, were there at the training camp and looking out over the field on the air. They knew they were on the air. It wasn't like a hot mic situation. And they saw a reporter from WUSA 9, also Washington. Her name is Charla McBride. She's been a reporter there in Washington for 17 years and was covering training camp herself. So she's out on the field talking to the players for the television station. They're on the side of the field doing a live broadcast for the radio station. And Don Geronimo refers to her as Barbie. And that's what got him in some trouble. Here are the comments.
Hey, look, Barbie's here. Hi, Barbie girl. Hi there. I'm guessing she's a cheerleader.
All right, he says
She's a cheerleader.
There's Barbie girl. Actually, she's a reporter for WUSA 9. So he says hey and all that. And she did. I don't know if she heard.
Acknowledged.
She did not acknowledge him. No, and I don't believe she even heard the comments. But she said, "Oh, Barbie." He said, "Barbie girl's here." So then later he said, "I think that's the chick you said is tight," and called her a cheerleader again.
Oh, hey. There's that chick that you thought said tight.
Yeah, I screamed tight when she was
I
talking.
think she's a sportscaster at Channel 9.
Yeah.
Or Channel 7.
Yeah, she's familiar.
I thought she was a cheerleader.
She is on WUSA 9. They were on the air. They knew they were on the air. It wasn't a case of being on a hot mic. So the new owner of the Commanders, who just took ownership of the team, 10 days ago, was irate, was fuming about this because they had just made a deal with WBIG, a 3-year extension of them being able to cover training camp and games with iHeartMedia. Full disclosure, a competitor of ours. And he said, this is not going to stand. So
They go where we go.
well, the Commanders guy, the new owner, Josh Harris, said they're not allowed at training camp anymore. They're gone. And as soon as that happened, Don Geronimo and Crash met with iHeart radio brass, and they were fired. Yesterday, they were fired. So they're no longer employed by iHeartMedia. Now, what really tells the tale here, what really happened at the end of this, and this so often happens with radio stories, this was being covered by WUSA 9, which is where the reporter works. Now, she says, by the way, I'm 17 years a professional journalist. I've never been disrespected in such a blatant manner while trying to do my job. Their words were sexist and misogynistic. No woman should ever have to experience that in the workplace. I appreciate the Commanders getting rid of them, and now iHeart for firing them. So this is the way the news covered it on television. They said, now they knew they were on the air like this. And this always happens with radio stories.
Women in TV deal with misogyny from all different angles.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have it. You don't expect it to come from your peers.
That's right. From your peers. That's the radio guy.
Reiterate, this wasn't a hot mic situation. This was part of their broadcast.
This was part of the broadcast yesterday morning.
So disappointing.
That's the way every radio story ends. So disappointed.
So disappointing.
In name-up show.
Every time.
That's right. Once again, so disappointed.
So disappointed.
From radio. Our colleagues from radio.
Yeah.
I know.
I had to put the word peers in quotes.
Right.
Our peers in radio.
That's right. They're not really our peers.
Yeah.
They're not good enough to be on television.
You're the worst of the worst.
Once again, the lowest rung of the entertainment.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So disappointing. I'm so disappointed.
That's a name that I've heard
Oh, Don Geronimo?
30-some years, if not longer.
Legendary.
A legendary in the DC era.
Absolutely. And it's covered that forever.
Was it Don and Mike? They were the legendary show?
Yeah, it's Don and Mike. They were afternoons in Washington and did, forever.
Forever.
Now he's on WBIG. Not anymore. Now, Crash there, the producer, if I had been Crash, I'd have been like, well, he said it.
Set it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's trying to.
your tight girl's back.
Yeah.
Hey, the tight girl's back.
He was the latch on.
Yeah.
He did a Chris Kelly, I'll tag team it, yeah. But of course, in the meeting, I'd have been pointing at Geronimo going, oh, he's
Glad to see the Barbie movie giving new material, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Barbie girl. Gross.
That's right. That's radio for you.